Les cartes bleues, ça se périme. Depuis qu'on a commencé, on a perdu plus de 40 000 € parce que les moyens de paiement ne sont pas mis à jour. Si vous pensez déjà nous soutenir tous les mois, vérifiez que vous avez bien mis à jour votre carte bancaire. Ça peut faire toute la différence pour nous. Rendez-vous sur soutenez.lemediatv.fr. Bonsoir à tous et bienvenue dans un entretien culturel un petit peu spécial. Si vous n'êtes pas encore au courant, Le Média est partenaire de la sortie du film Warrior Woman. Warrior Woman est un film documentaire qui retrace la vie de Madonna Thunderhawk et des femmes qui furent les fers de lance de la lutte pour les droits civiques amérindiens et pour la défense de leurs terres. Pour en parler, j'ai l'honneur de recevoir Madonna Thunderhawk elle-même et Elizabeth A. Castle, co-réalisatrice du film. Mais avant de commencer, je tiens à remercier Est Ensemble et le cinéma Le Méliès de Montreuil qui ont accepté de nous accueillir pour qu'on réalise cet entretien.
This country is built on the bones of our ancestors. We have our culture, we have our way of life, we have our language. What we're trying to do is retain it. Retain our right as a people to be Indian.
It was truly an empowering, free time. Watching the women is amazing how they handled everything. Protecting our people and our children's future and fighting, being warriors in that way.
The press, they just automatically gravitated to the men. And who really knew what was going on and who was really running the show were the women.
Good evening, Madonna, Elizabeth, and thank you to have accepted this interview. Ma première question, qu'est-ce qui vous a inspiré ce film et pourquoi avez-vous eu à cœur de raconter l'histoire de l'American Indian Movement?
So this film is part of a bigger project. I didn't really make the choices. It was a story that needed to be told. So the film comes out of a long history of oral histories and work in the community with all the different indigenous activists who originally did this work in the 1970s.
En France, on en sait très peu sur la question des natifs américains et de l'American Indian Movement, qui est moins connu que par exemple le mouvement des Black Panthers, avec qui d'ailleurs vous avez été alliés, enfin il y a une alliance entre les deux organisations. Est-ce que c'est le cas également aux États-Unis?
Very few people know anything about indigenous history, and they certainly don't know much about the American Indian movement. Every country has a history of colonization, and I know, for example, we got more support in Europe for the American Indian movement than, of course, in the US, because it's a secret, the history of genocide. We don't talk about it, we don't recognize it. So, you know, it's not a mystery, it's just how you erase people by erasing their history.
Qu'est-ce qu'on représentait ce manque de visibilité justement pour votre mouvement? Est-ce que ça a été difficile de le rendre visible justement?
Well, over the years, over the decades, it's been practically non-existent. We're colonized people in our own land, so of course we don't have the exposure that other movements around the United States have. But our issues are unique because we are land-based. So in this modern day of social media, and our younger people are more accustomed to the modern ways, we're able to get our story out.
Il y a une évolution dans le mouvement justement avec ces nouveaux médias, les réseaux sociaux pour l'American Indian Movement?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the groundwork was laid in the 70s and 80s through our international work with the UN and resulting with the Declaration of Indigenous Peoples. But especially with the worldwide attention that Standing Rock brought to our issues as land-based people in the United States, it's more helpful.
Standing Rock would not have happened in the way that it did without the use of social media. Social media has its weaknesses, obviously, because you can surveil a people who are organizing through it, but the genius of it allowed for 10,000 people to gather in an area and just change everything, and it was very powerful.
Thousands of demonstrators are hunkered down in the middle of a winter storm. North Dakota's governor says winter weather conditions at their camp are life-threatening and has ordered protesters to leave.
Quel était l'objet de ce qui s'est passé à Standing Rock? Pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas les différentes luttes dans lesquelles se sont engagés l'American Indian Movement, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé à Standing Rock? Est-ce que vous pouvez nous raconter?
Standing Rock became a place of resistance and it started with a group of young people on the ground from the reservation in the area who were standing up and saying, this corporation is not going to build a pipeline and poison our water and everyone's water. So it's what's happening now across the world is indigenous people who have survived genocide are standing up for the planet. And it's really important that we support them in doing that, as they might save the planet for us all, but we have to not let them be assassinated, all of the things that are going on with indigenous people, especially indigenous women leaders.
Island, I was 30 and I was one of the old guys. You know, so I've always been one of the older elders, you know, and that's okay. I'm glad I'm still here, because many of my contemporaries are not. They've crossed over, and so I represent a lot of people. So my ancestors gave me this blood, gave me this life.
On va revenir un petit peu dans le passé. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous raconter un petit peu comment s'est créé finalement l'American Indian Movement? Comment tout ça s'est fait?
Well, it was formed back in the late 60s, 1968. It was the strongest organization that expanded, grew. There were many, many Red Power movements at that time because our people were waking up and they were on the move for many issues across the United States where there are many, many indigenous tribes. But the basic struggle was the same, to try to provide and protect what we have left. And the American Indian movement became strong mainly because of what was happening in the Dakotas with our people. In the Dakotas, the treaty rights.
4th grade, in boarding school in Eagle Butte, I said, I'm gonna stand up by wearing my moccasins to school. I remember people asking me, why? Why are you wearing those? Why aren't you wearing shoes? I remember being laughed at, but the next day, I wore them again, and other girls were wearing their moccasins. Something as simple as that was so powerful because our people were so oppressed.
Les natifs amérindiens ont subi pendant des siècles le génocide, mais aussi une entreprise d'acculturation venant du gouvernement américain, enfin, en tout cas des États-Unis. Et vous abordez dans le film la question des boarding schools. Est-ce que vous pouvez tout d'abord nous expliquer ce qu'étaient les boarding schools et quel impact ça a eu sur votre culture et vos modes de vie?
I'd like to frame the idea of boarding schools and start by saying we have to stop calling them schools, because it was a site where the state got to practice cultural genocide. So going from generation to generation, what happens to a people killed in all aspects except their physical self. Everything else is destroyed, and that was the goal. So when you know that, just imagine what intergenerational trauma and historical trauma looks like, which is why we made it a big part of the film, but also survival school as the powerful response to it.
Vous parlez de génocide culturel, c'est un terme qui est fort. Est-ce que ce génocide culturel a toujours cours aujourd'hui, mais d'une autre manière? Est-ce qu'il est encore d'actualité, ce terme?
Yeah, of course, it's still going on. Because again, I'll say again, we're colonized people. We're subject to all kinds of assimilation tactics because we are land-based. So that's what makes us unique in our struggle in the United States, is we are land-based people yet. And so again, we are in the mode to protect what we have left. But yeah, it's part of colonization.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, right? I mean, you start it and it doesn't stop.
J'ai pas pu m'empêcher de remarquer que dans les survival schools que vous aviez mis en place, vous parlez anglais. Le fer de lance de la culture, c'est la langue. Et moi, je voudrais savoir qu'est-ce qui est advenu, qu'est-ce qui en est aujourd'hui des langues natives?
It's an ongoing effort. And since those days of the late 60s and early 70s, there's been an effort across the nation, across the United States, with our people, where they have immersion schools, they teaching the language, and making it a part of not only the curriculum in schools, but also a part of the tribal government. For example, on my reservation, the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe in South Dakota, Lakota is our first language of our reservation. But because of colonization and the practices, intergenerational practices of a colonization, we all know English now, you know, and so we have to bring our languages back.
Alors vous avez occupé Wounded Knee Creek, vous évoquez aussi ça dans le film, ça se situe dans le Dakota du Sud toujours. Alors tout d'abord, pourquoi? Et je voudrais aussi savoir qu'est-ce que ce lieu représente dans l'histoire des peuples natifs amérindiens.
Well, it is historic to our people, to the history of our people, because back in 1890, there was a massacre of our people at that time in that area, the Wounded Knee area. After that massacre, the Army, I think there's 26 of the military were awarded medals of honor by the military of that time, and it was a massacre. So that has immediate memory, ancestral memory for our people. So during those days when the American Indian movement was asked to come, we were asked to come, all of us that were active at the time, were asked to come to many reservations and many communities, and we were on our way to visit different communities on the Pine Ridge Reservation when we were surrounded by federal troops at the site of Wounded Knee in 1973.
And push, but because the world's watching, it's a standoff.
Donc en fait, si on reprend toutes les luttes qui sont mises en scène dans le film et toutes les luttes que vous avez menées en général, elles ont fait l'objet de fortes répressions.
The U.S. put everything it had to domestically destroying the American Indian movement, and it was so threatening that we still don't know to this day the degree of counter surveillance, right, espionage that they practiced to make sure that AIM would be destroyed and that would not be taken seriously. And that's you always need to keep that in mind when looking back at the movement.
Malgré toutes ces luttes que vous avez menées pour vos droits, pour votre terre, on réalise assez peu les conditions sociales d'existence des peuples natifs, en tout cas ici en France. Les conditions de vie, le racisme que vous subissez, l'ostracisation sociale, et puis évidemment l'acculturation et le génocide. Alors, malgré tout ça, toutes les luttes que vous avez menées, qu'est-ce que aujourd'hui, aux États-Unis, c'est d'être amérindien, d'être natif?
Well, keeping to the fact that we're land-based, so our issues do not change from one generation to the next. They don't change. They're the same. And it's always in the mode of protect what we have. So because of this, we do have standing within the federal government system, because we have treaties that were ratified by Congress. We have a nation-to-nation relationship with the federal government. So it continues on in that mode. So there's times when we have to do movement-type actions to bring about change. For example, the fight with the pipeline fight. But our issues do not change, they're constant.
Ce qui est très intéressant dans le film, c'est la place que vous accordez, Madonna et Elisabeth, à la jeunesse. Vous racontez effectivement beaucoup comment se transmet la culture militante, l'engagement. Comment cet héritage est reçu justement par ces jeunes générations, et est-ce que vous les pensez prêts et armés pour mener à bien les luttes comme vous l'avez fait contre des projets de l'éoduc ou de mines d'uranium? Est-ce que vous les sentez prêts à affronter tous ces risques et surtout la répression policière, la répression étatique dont ils font et dont ils feront l'objet?
I think that the young people, our young people specifically, because of social media, because of the modern day technology, they're more aware, involved. But it's also because, as elders of our people, it's our responsibility to support the young people in whatever area they see fit to continue the struggle. We've done our part. It's their time now. It's their future. And we are there to totally support what they do and what they decide. Because that's what we had when we were young. We had strong elders that let us decide and let us go forward.
La terre, vous le disiez, c'est central. Si pour une entité comme l'État américain, la terre c'est surtout un territoire, c'est un synonyme de puissance, qu'est-ce que pour les natifs la terre représente?
I can only speak for my land base, my reservation, where I'm from. That's our history and that's our standing because we are indigenous. And we understand also that land is power, and then under our nation-to-nation relationship with the U.S. government, it's always been about a land taking.
Il y a beaucoup de thématiques qui sont, je suppose, très difficiles à être assumées par le gouvernement américain et même par certains producteurs. Je me demande quelles ont été les difficultés que vous avez pu avoir dans la réalisation de ce film.
Making Warrior Women was a really long process. And it's really powerful, though, to make a film in collaboration with the subjects and to change that relationship so that we're co-conspirators. We collaborated to make it, and now to take it places together so that we can talk about the bigger issues after people have seen the film and hopefully been deeply changed by learning something they either knew incorrectly or they never knew. It was very challenging to make a film that could carry all of those responsibilities. But it's good and we love it and it's doing a great job and we're proud of it.
Je trouve ça intéressant parce que finalement ça fait écho à des thématiques très actuelles finalement comme l'environnement. Et je remarque que l'American Indian Movement était assez pionnier sur ces questions-là au final. C'est ce que vous avez ressenti en faisant ce film et en observant?
Oh yes. Absolutely. Until I'd say a decade or so ago, Indian reservations, Native American territories in the United States were the last of the untouched lands and resources. But because extraction corporations have control of policies in the United States, they're able to come into our territories, our lands, with the blessings of federal laws, or the lack of laws, and to be able to do extraction. Or at the boundaries, or the boundaries and waterways of our lands. So that's where the struggle is, and that's where the treaty rights come in.
Thank you, Madonna, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à tous d'avoir suivi cet entretien. Si ça vous a plu, vous pouvez liker, commenter, envoyer des dons ou devenir sociaux. C'est grâce au financement des sociaux, des citoyens comme vous et moi, que nous pouvons réaliser des entretiens avec des personnages comme Madonna Thunderhawk. Sur ce, je vous souhaite bonne soirée. Merci d'avoir regardé ce programme. S'il vous a plu, mettez des pouces bleus, commentez, partagez. Et pour nous soutenir, cliquez là-dessus.